This is Third Paradigm, and I'm Teresa Coraggio. Happy New Year's Eve. I want you to know that I have gotten dressed and put on makeup just for you. I served a 4-course dinner practically in my pajamas, but that's okay because as the older generation, I'm invisible anyway. There's a really funny skit that Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin do on Grace and Frankie that I highly recommend about being invisible. But by staying in the kitchen, I managed to stay out of trouble. I didn't get into an argument until dessert. And I think that that's really thanks to you, because I know that there's actually people who want to hear what I have to say. And so I don't have to press my points. I can just send them off to their burlesque show, and then I can actually get dressed, fix myself another blue martini, and talk to people who want to hear what I have to say. So thank you for being that audience in 2023, and I am looking forward to it in 2024. I don't believe in making resolutions. I think this should be a time of appreciating your accomplishments. And I do that on a monthly basis. I've taken my day planner and crossed out the to-do list and instead put accomplishments. So what has happened this year? I went from 1,100 subscribers to 2,700 on all platforms. This is my 200th video, if I include the 2 that got taken down by YouTube. And I've also had 5,000 hours of people watching those videos. So that has been a huge year. And this has been in 2.5 years of doing YouTube. I think that this is something that has revolutionized my life. I never expected that I would be able to reach people and get that response. It is always like Christmas. After I post something, and especially I post often the night before, and I wake up in the morning and there are all these presents of these conversations that people are engaging with my ideas. It's like I get to hold court and have the first word and put it out there, and then I get all of these things back. I am so grateful for that. Of my viewers, YouTube analytics tells me 65% are male and 50% of all viewers are over 65. And that's fine, because it takes a while to get as smart as we are. This is a new year, I think, in my history for the community of women in particular, who are so smart and sassy and perceptive and supportive. This has been a revolutionary thing for me, and I love them. I love you. But there is also a younger generation, and you know who you are, that I feel like I'm getting to mentor. And that really means a lot to me. I feel like I can be a calm voice saying, you know, you're going to get through this. It's all going to be okay. And that I have the ability to say that at this point in my life. I was venting to Tonica over at Visceral Adventures, and she said, you know, I feel terrible for this next generation because they're having to navigate these confusing waters and still retain their social capital. Whereas you get to a certain age where those who know don't care, and those who care don't know. And I definitely am at that point. Here's the advantage, I think, to knowing what's really going down. You just don't sweat the small stuff. It has kept me out of so many marches and political organizations and feudal arguments. Ratio Broadbornius has a phrase that he calls the apocalyptimist, and I claim that proudly. I think that we should be aware of exactly what's happening. and we shouldn't sweat it. For the new year, Heather of Bliss and Blisters has Happy New Year Meme-a-thon, and Visceral Adventures has Year of 2023 in Review Meme-a-lanch, and then Ratio Broadborneus has Year of Do Memes, which I think should be Do-Ray Memes. And then one of the ones that I relate to the most is Pauline Stonebrook of Diva Drops doing Wicked New Year. One of those is, remember that shit that you did last year? Don't do that crap anymore. And I'm not sure about that. I think I might do even more shit. And here's particularly the shit that I think I'll be doing more of. Getting into arguments with people who really like me. This often feels not really that great, but why bother arguing with people who don't like you? Because they're not listening to you anyway. As my youngest says, you can only change what you love, and that includes who you love and who can change you. So continuing to have these better arguments, that's what I want. I want this to be the year of the better argument, where we get this down to a fine art. That's what I want for 2024. I am, however, hankering to step up my game in 2024, and I had a moment of insanity where I thought, I'm going to do 4 a week, and I'm going to do them on these 4 books that I've wanted to get done. And then I came to my senses and I said, this is not a job. Why do you want to turn this into a job? That's the best way to ruin a passion. As another of Pashin's memes says, I don't call them New Year's resolutions. I prefer the term casual promises to myself that I am under no legal obligation to fulfill. But here are the things that I am intending to want to develop further. My idea for what I wanted to do followed the formula of socio-spiritual solutions plus subversive Bible studies. So on the socio side, I had toyed with Third Paradigm Thursdays, where I take these different issues, which is what I always do, and say, here is where it's a false dichotomy. Here is where we're looking at this as either this or this, but there is a completely different direction that we could go. And then I'd like to put out more chapters of my book, A House for the Soul in the Land Beyond Faith, to look at a systematic way of having discussions about religion and what it should be, and all of the things that are the important big questions that we need to be talking about. Third, I'd like to be looking at solutions from the perspective of my book, How to Dismantle an Empire, and the system changes that I talk about there. The sequel to that book is to be How to Build a Commonwealth, and those are both part of a series called A 2020 Vision, and I have the domain a2020vision.org. I don't think that time has passed. I think the 2020s are the era of change, and that's why I think this is a year that is building to that crescendo, not necessarily good, but that is heading in that better direction. So I'd like to do something a little different than like James Corbett at Solutions Watch, where he looks at what can you do about this as an individual in the current system. I'd like to say, okay, now as czar of your own fiefdom, what would you do? How would you apply this system to solve your problems? And there's some exciting things. Mark Alexander is already looking at developing an app that would use my carrot system. And so having a practical way of saying, yeah, this could happen. Here's how we can picture it. I think this could be an exciting year for that. And last, under the category of subversive Bible studies, is the draft that I have of A People's History of the Bible, Old and New Testament, and looking at the Bible from this angle of saying, all right, if this was written by Josephus and written in a way to twist the truth, what would this mean under that paradigm? So looking at, as Rhonda says, a coded military strategy that has been embedded in this and that is now coming to fruition in a way that we would be doing good to figure out. So those are my casual intentions, and I reserve the right to change my mind the moment a new idea comes into my head. But what I won't change my mind about is how grateful I am to you, that I have finally found my people, and I have had this conversation that is going places. That's going places fast. It's amazing what can happen when people are allowed to actually talk. So let's make sure and take advantage of that in 2024. And as another indication of how far I've come, this is What and Why and Who Am I Year 2. And here is the very first one that I made so you can see how bad the sound and lighting was. Thank you for watching.